Hey everybody, it's me, Kia the Realtor, and I am coming to you today to share with you a few tips on how I passed my real estate licensing exam on the first try, all while being a mother of two who are 3 years old and 6 years old, and a wife of one. um, Working a full-time job who also mandated me to work at least 10 hours of overtime every week. And just also having the responsibilities of just everyday life, right? So I just wanted to share these tips with you because I know that if I can do it, you can do it. So first tip that I will share with you is to set a realistic goal for completion. So I set a goal to complete my courses and my course, my pre-licensure course, and have my exams passed by April 30th of 2022. So I set that at the end of 2021. So I began my course on January 1st of 2022, and I dedicated my time to complete that goal. I was determined to complete that goal and have everything done by April April 30th of 2022. My second tip would be to set aside a specific amount of time each day or night, depending on how you're working your course, your pre-licensure course, whether you work full-time or your mom full-time or your dad full-time, just a parent, just a person full-time, because life can get hectic. It definitely can get hectic. But if you make sure you set aside a specific amount of time every day, for however many days you plan on studying or completing your course, you have to do a 40-hour pre-licensure course in Michigan anyway. And I was lucky enough to get a free online course and was able to complete it at my own pace. But you do want to make sure you set aside time that you actually dedicate to your studies, right? So I made sure that I set aside at least 2 hours a night, Monday through Friday. I took the weekends off because just to give your brain a break, you have to. Monday through Friday, 2 hours a night. And you know what? I also set a specific time that I would start. So I was at least starting by 8 p.m. because, for one, I had a full-time job. So I had to work my full-time job from like 7 a.m. until close to 6 or 7 p.m. I would try to get some food, have dinner with my family, give them a little bit of my time, and then 8 o'clock I'm in my office again, and I am like full study student mode for at least 2 hours a night. So the course that I took actually was through Kaplan Real Estate School for Michigan. And that course, as soon as you start the course, you have 6 months to complete it. So it was nice to be able to do the course at my own pace and in my own home, and I have to go out to a classroom and sit in a classroom for a certain amount of hours. It's definitely a lot of information to pack into your brain. The course was about 27 units, and each unit is its own length of time. So you could speed through one unit one night in less than an hour, or it could take you 2 nights to complete one unit. But you dedicate that, like I said, at least 2 hours a night to finish that unit, or to finish half of the unit or whatever, to make sure that you're doing your course and you're staying on course, So from January till about, I would say, maybe the second week of February is when that's the time that I spent to complete my course. And it took that amount of time. And I stuck to my course. I stuck to my dedicated time, Monday through Friday, and was able to complete that. Now, at the end of the Kaplan course, you have to do a final exam. And I'm pretty sure you have to do a final exam in your actual in-person course as well. So you have to do a final exam for the pre-licensure course. Now, that's not the exam to get you your license. It's just the final exam that you did the course and you know the material now. So I did my final exam, and then after that final exam, once I passed that, thank goodness, I took about a week off, no studying, no classwork, nothing, to give my brain a little bit of a break. My job that I have currently is also a very analytical job. I have to analyze and think and use my brain a lot. So I had to give my brain some sort of relief for a moment, because my actual full-time job is always changing and there's new policy and all of these things that I had to remember. So it was a lot to pack all of that in my brain on top of the real estate course. So I would definitely suggest giving yourself a moment to just take a break, take a breather, and then come back to everything. So it wasn't until after I completed my course is when I found out about this next tip that I'm going to give you, which is the Prep Agent YouTube video. Prep Agent and Joe Juder were my saving grace, okay? I found that YouTube channel and I found Joe Juder, and I believe that that's the reason I passed my course on the very first try, for sure. Joe Juder explains things, all things real estate, in the most simplest way, to where it's just like, oh, what? That's what that meant? I know that, you know. And he definitely encourages you to learn your vocabulary, know your vocabulary like front and back. And by me watching a lot of the Joe Juder or Prep Agent videos on vocabulary and different concepts and contracts and whatever you can find, whatever you can think of, you can find on Joe Juder's website, or I'm sorry, YouTube channel. And just watching those, I watch those day in, day out, okay? I listened to them. If I wasn't able to actually look at the video, I was listening to it. I'm lucky enough to be able to work from home, so I was able to listen to the videos while I worked, because I don't have to be on the phone very much. So I would have the videos playing in my background. I would try to shout out the answer before Joe Juder would give me the answer. I listened to those videos while I washed the dishes. I listened to those videos while I was in the shower. I listened to those videos right before bed. I listened to Prep Agent vocabulary and all types of all of his videos, like non-stop for a good 3 weeks. Additionally, the next tip that I want to give you is, if you have practice quizzes and practice exams that come with your course, utilize those. So I was lucky enough to have the Kaplan course, and Kaplan provided practice exams and practice quizzes. And the way that you can do those practice exams and quizzes is you can customize them to cover the topics that you are not doing very well in. And so when you take a quiz or practice quiz on the Kaplan courses, it shows you your scores, and then it breaks down each topic and how you scored in each topic. So math, contracts, agents, disclosures, and all of those things. It breaks it all down, and then you can see where you're doing good in and what you're not doing so good in. So then you can focus on the areas that you actually need to focus on. So I thought that was a very, very great resource to have with the Kaplan real estate course. Very great resource. Kaplan also provided a live study group that you could utilize, which was also wonderful. You can go online and listen in on the study group, and I utilized all of those things. Prep Agent, again, has to be my number one. I'm so grateful that I found the Prep Agent YouTube channel. Prep Agent also provides you can buy a membership, and they will provide you with practice exams and practice quizzes and more vocabulary flashcards and different things that you can just use to just prepare yourself to take your state licensing exam. The state licensing exam is very, I would say, it is intimidating. In Michigan, there was 115 questions on the exam. Well, 125 questions total on the exam, but only 115, I think, are actually scored. So that can be intimidating to know that there's that many questions on the exam. Michigan covers the state and the national portion of the exam. So I think maybe some states have separate ones. I'm not exactly for sure because I've never taken them in another state. But Michigan covers it all. So once you set up your time to take your exam, you're getting it, the national and the state, all in one. Another tip that I would say say that you could utilize or use, is while you're doing your practice exams and your practice quizzes, try to score, keep doing them until you scoring at least 85 to 95% on the quizzes and the exams. So what I did was I would customize the exams to where I was not, doing very well in. And I would do at least 3 quizzes. Now the quizzes are about 50 questions, and then the exams are about 80 questions. Practice are about 80 questions. And so I would do at least 3 quizzes, 50 questions, and that will be my study time, is to do those quizzes and see where I'm at and how am I standing and how much am I scoring. And so my scores will go up more and more each time. And so I continued to do those until I was consistently scoring at least 85 to 95% on both the quizzes and exams, and on both the state and the national portion of the exams. So Kaplan provides a good study materials for both. So Kaplan provides study materials for the exam materials for the national exam, and exam materials or study materials for the state exam. I'm sorry, saying a lot, but so yes, Kaplan was very, 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 very helpful in that way. I think definitely utilized it a lot. Utilized those quizzes and exams. So I took those probably about a week and a half before I took my actual licensing exam. I will continue to do those and continue to score consistently in the 90s, 85, 90s, 95s. And that made me confident that I was actually retaining the information. So those are like the 5 main tips that I have for you. What I utilized, how I used my time. My major, I think the most major thing that helped a lot for me is to have a good support system. Now, I am married, like I said, and I have 2 small children. And my husband was a great, great resource for me. My husband is super duper supportive, and I'm so grateful and I'm so blessed for that. If I wanted to go and make wooden shoes, my husband would support that. So I'm very, very, very blessed in that area, and I'm so grateful for him because he was able to pick up where I could not while I was trying to study. So he kept the children out of the way, kept them away from my office, kept them from bothering me when I needed the time to just really focus. Took care of dinner, took care of baths, got them in bed, things like that for me. Things that I would typically do. He took over so that that I could have that time. And so I would say having a good support system is always going to be helpful for you. Or just creating yourself a good system, even if you don't have a husband or you don't have another person or wife or whatever in the household with your children, just get them on a good schedule, get a good schedule going, and have that schedule set up to where this is my time, this is when I do this. So yes, I did a lot. Our children went to bed at about 8 o'clock, and that's when I went to do my studies, because they weren't so, coming in and back and forth asking for mommy or needing help with anything. But my husband also was just extremely, extremely supportive and extremely helpful in that. So we were a good team in that aspect. So the second to the last tip that I would give you is to don't second guess yourself. And that's one thing that I learned from the prep agent videos. Don't second guess yourself. When you're doing the exams and you're doing the quizzes, just try to go with your first mind, because you likely know the information. You likely know the information. And if you second guess yourself, that's when you usually get it wrong. And that is one thing I really, really had to trust myself on. You have to trust yourself on the things that you know, because you retain the information. You do. So I had to trust myself on not second guessing myself and knowing that, hey, this is gonna be the right answer. If this is the answer that's popping in my brain first, this has got to be the right answer. So don't second guess yourself. So that would be like tip number 6 there. Tip number 7, I think this is a added tip here, is to write things down. When you're studying, when you're going through your course, write it down. Like, I wrote down probably every slide. I wrote down this. I'm going to show you my books. Here are all my books all of my notebooks that I use. So not that one, that wasn't one, that was just an extra one. So these are all of my notebooks here that I just like wrote things in. I took sticky notes on things I needed to continue to work on. I wrote all of my notes, of my slides, stuff that I might not have understood. I wrote everything down, and then I took out in the Kaplan course, there were key points at the end of each unit when it came to the state portion of the course. I printed out the key points and I stapled them all together so that I can look at them. I made a ton of note cards. I mean, anything that looked like it was a definition, it was in bold letters, I wrote it down and I looked at it, and I would go back and look at it when I would be on a quiz, a practice quiz or a practice exam, and I would see what the answer was or where it was. I don't remember that. And so I would continue to do those exams until I did not need any of my notes. But writing things down definitely helps you to remember things a lot better. So that is bonus tip right there for you, okay? Write. Yes, it's going to take a little bit longer. Yes, it's probably tedious or whatever, but it definitely is very, very, very helpful. So I would say just write everything down that you think you should probably write down. Just write it down. Write it down, have a notebook. I might not ever utilize these books ever again, who knows? But I wrote every single thing down, and I definitely feel like that was a great thing for me to do and helped me a lot in passing on the first time. My final tip that I will give you is going to be tip number 8 here, and that is to be confident. When you go and you schedule your exam, and when you go into that exam, go in there knowing that you know this stuff. You have retained everything that you have learned. It's not just going to fly out of your brain. So go in there with the confidence that you are going to walk out a licensed real estate agent on the first try. Go in there knowing that you're going to pass that test on the first try, okay? And confess that thing. In the beginning, I said I wanted to be done by April 30th of 2022. Whether that meant me having to take the exam a couple of times, I just wanted to be done by April 30th. But as I got through my course, I continued to confess different things, and I said I'm going to pass it on the very first try. Once I scheduled my exam on March 30th of 2022, I said I'm going to pass that license exam on March 30th of 2022 on the very first try. And that is what I did. Clearly, I have a child, so this is what happens when you have children. But yes, so go in there confident, go in there believing that you're going to do it, believing that you're going to be a licensed real estate agent after you walk out of that thing, and you will definitely walk out as what you say, right? So be confident. Make your study time your study time. Be disciplined. It takes a lot of willpower, a lot of discipline, and everything when you want to do something major like this. So just remember what your why is, and continue to push forward. I know you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. And I cannot wait to hear that you passed your licensing exam and congratulate you on becoming a licensed real estate agent. Until next time, thank you. I'll talk to y'all soon.